This is the North Anatolian fault line. An earthquake in 1912 ruptured the west side of this fault, killing 2,800 people. In 1999, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit the Marmara region of Turkey, killing more than 17,000 people. The two ruptures on the fault line created a time bomb under the city of Istanbul, known as a seismic gap. This seismic gap could potentially generate a magnitude 7 or above earthquake at any given time. Istanbul is home to 16 million people, making it one of the largest cities in the world, and it's the cultural and economic engine of Turkey. Experts believe a major earthquake here will have catastrophic consequences, with 22% of all buildings destroyed and 30% of roads shut down. In 2021, Turkish authorities revealed a plan to evacuate Istanbul's residents. 6 ports, 3 train stations, and 4 bus stations were designated as evacuation points. But Istanbul is a 3,000-year-old city built on hills, full of narrow alleyways, steep slopes, and old buildings, and it has famously bad traffic. So if buildings are destroyed and roads blocked, how will people get out? In February 2023, 2 powerful earthquakes struck the south of Turkey and claimed the lives of more than 50,000 people. More than 270,000 buildings were destroyed and at least 1.5 million people have been left homeless. Survivors are facing huge environmental consequences, such as mountains of rubble and exposure to toxic waste. Turkish seismologist Naci Gorur had warned about an earthquake in this region 3 years before the disaster took place. He is now warning that Istanbul may be running out of time.
Bugün İstanbul'da daha normal durumda bile.
Even today, ambulances or firefighters are unable to enter some of the streets in Istanbul. Most roads are blocked as cars park on both sides. Everything stops when there's heavy rain. In the event of an earthquake, when buildings collapse onto the roads, no one will be able to go anywhere. Instead of tying our hopes to evacuation, we need to take measures to make this city quake resilient.
The Turkish government believes rebuilding the city is the only solution. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is a longtime supporter of urban transformation. Under his watch, Istanbul witnessed a major construction boom. Currently, over 90,000 buildings in the city are being renewed according to the Urban Ministry. The aim is to replace old buildings with modern ones that can better withstand tremors. The process can start in 2 ways. The government can mark any neighborhood as an earthquake risk zone, or citizens can voluntarily ask for an inspection of their homes. If these buildings are deemed to be at risk, then they are demolished. Residents then sign a contract with a private developer and receive rent support from the government while they wait for their new homes. When the project is complete, contractors either buy the residents out or offer a new unit in the building.
Urban renewal is the right thing to do. It's the modern thing to do. But it started off wrong here.
20 years ago, a team of Japanese scientists studied Istanbul's landscape and designated the high-risk areas in the city. When the Turkish government launched its urban renewal project in 2012, they earmarked 16 districts for redevelopment. But many of these areas weren't in the high-risk zones flagged in the original study. Critics say the scheme particularly favors the construction industry. Over the years, many contractors prioritized the city's most desirable areas in order to make big returns on their investment. The new buildings were larger and taller in order to sell more units.
In my opinion, the seismic rehabilitation efforts in Turkey were used as a drive, as an excuse for gentrifying and re-inhabiting very valuable parts of Istanbul.
Yasemin Didam Aktaş is an engineer, co-leading a UK response team to uncover the causes of extensive damage and loss of life in recent earthquakes that struck Turkey.
As building designers, what we are trying to do here is that no matter what the damage level is, people should be able to leave that building safely, even if that building is not usable anymore at the end of the event. So what we are seeing, that the building actually not standing anymore, but collapsing as a sort of pile of rubble, is unacceptable.
But some buildings did manage to withstand the seismic shocks. This is a hospital in Turkey's south that showed resistance to the earthquake thanks to this extra layer of plate, which is called a seismic isolator. In recent years, Istanbul applied this technology to some of its strategic structures. The city's public Başakşehir Hospital and the Sabiha Gökçen International Airport are among the largest seismically isolated buildings in the world.
When an earthquake happens, there is an energy input to the system, to the building.
Osman Özbulut is a professor of civil engineering at University of Virginia.
When we use a seismic isolation system, we incorporate those isolation bearings between the foundation of the building and the rest of the building. They can move as needed. They have this deformation capacity. Therefore, most of the earthquake energy actually is dissipated at this base level. It doesn't enter to the upper floors of the building, and we minimize the damage.
Seismic isolation technology is not new, but it's still not widespread for conventional buildings. Instead, many countries around the world like the US, Turkey, China, and Mexico impose a life safety code as the minimum standard. This means the building is expected to be damaged, but the main structure should stand for long enough to give residents time to get out alive. This was the case in New Zealand when an earthquake hit Christchurch in 2011. The majority of the buildings remained intact, but most of them were inhabitable afterwards, which resulted in $30 billion worth of damage.
Regular commercial or residential buildings are designed to get damaged. We have newer design methodologies, newer technologies that can go beyond this performance objective. We need to design the buildings for higher standards for Istanbul.
This land has seen earthquakes for 13 million years. If we want to keep living here and preserve our economic and political dignity, we must deal with the earthquake.
yaşayacaksa depremlerle baş etmeliyiz.